Hey guys, first video since the new baby, but I've got Classic on the mind and I wanted to get some thoughts out on the subject. With less than 3 weeks to go before Classic launches, I find myself both excited and a little concerned. I'm worried about a few things that might not pan out so well now that the reality of Classic is actually upon us. Like, will it still be enjoyable now that I'm 14 years older? I mean, geez, I started playing in 2005, so I was 22 at the time. It's been a while, and now I've got 3 kids and not a whole lot of time to myself. I mean, we gamers find time for ourselves one way or another, usually at the cost of sleep, but back then I used to come home from work at 5 p.m. and play until I was exhausted, usually somewhere around 2 to 3 in the morning. Weekends I was online 24/7, breaking to eat sometimes. There are some things I just don't remember well because they weren't an issue back then. Like, how long exactly did it take to get a group together for a dungeon? I know it took a while, but was it as bad as I remember, or worse? How long did it take for everyone to show up for the 40-man raids? How much time did we actually spend in there each night? And how many nights per week was it? I'm pretty sure we spent at least 4 hours in there, maybe 3 nights a week. It just felt like a place you visited and stayed and never left. So you didn't really keep track of the time. How would that translate to my life today? One of the things I'm looking most forward to is to be able to play a new role, i.e., like a healer or DPS instead of a tank. To challenge raids I never got a chance to do back then, but the downside is that I've already done them in one way or another since then, and I really wonder how exciting it's actually going to be. I have no interest in MC after spending 3 or 4 months in there originally. I've cleared BWL and both AQs on my own several times. ZG was rehashed as a dungeon, I did many times, and I also did some of it back in vanilla as well. In Wrath, Naxxramas was rehashed too, and since doing it as a raid then, I've also sold it several times alone. Granted, I hear the original is way harder, but it's still essentially the same layout and bosses, right? I'd like to get a chance to challenge the World Dragons, as my guild never did back then. But what else is there that I haven't seen already? There's nothing new, nothing that exciting. It's almost like playing Dragon Age Origins, or Inquisition is probably a better example because there's more love interests. You're playing it for the umpteenth time, and playing a new role and race combination, and going for a new romance, but still knowing the story inside and out. It gets to a point where you still get bored and quit halfway through your game because you already know how the story's going to end. And that's something that really concerns me about Classic. We all know how it goes. We know everything about it, and that eventually it's going to end. And then what? That brings me to my last point, which is that Classic cannot last forever without new content, and I'm personally not wild about the idea of just starting the server over and over again each time you reach the end. So, to explore my thoughts completely here, I have to say that I'm not happy with the direction that WoW has gone, and I do not enjoy playing it in its current state. I do enjoy playing vanilla WoW, and I love that state of the game, but I worry that without new content that eventually it will get stale. I think ultimately what I'd like to see is a state of the game that reminds me more of vanilla than BFA, with new things to do. New dungeons, maybe even new raids. I was thinking, why not a dungeon in the Blasted Lands where all of the elite demons were? And wasn't Kazakh originally from that area too? There are so many areas that could have a new dungeon easily inserted to expand the already existing content and lore. It's strange though, because there are so many people who are dead set on having it exactly how it was, and what confuses me even more is that most of these people have been playing on private servers for the past 10 plus years, and doing the same content from start to finish over and over again. How could you not be bored out of your mind? I mean, I'm not trying to be rude here, it's an honest question. I can understand the sentiment though. Many of us no longer trust Blizzard to make the right decisions for the game. People liked feeling like they could customize their characters more, like in a real RPG. People liked the challenge of the difficulty and the resulting camaraderie that was born from having to work together to complete even just elite quests. People liked having more than 4 skills in their rotation. I mean, you could say that for DPS and raids that certain classes just hit the one key over and over again. And that may be true for some, but the fact remains that many skills were available besides that. The dumbing down of hunters alone has been absolutely heartbreaking for me. This was a class I really loved that has just become a shallow husk of what it used to be. People complained that feeding pets was annoying, and I thought it added much needed involvement. Same with having to buy arrows. The same with having to tame new pets to learn higher ranks of skills. There was just so much more involvement then, and now there's nothing. It's boring. And that's the big problem with WoW. You want to find some place where you're having fun in the Warcraft world. For me, that is very difficult because I've played the game throughout its entirety. I had fun in Vanilla, but I also had fun in BC and Wrath. I'd say the turning point for me was when they severed the old world in Cataclysm and took away the talent trees. The game felt very different at that point, but I was still able to have a lot of fun during MoP. Legion was alright, but the constant chasing of your class's specific legendaries was a big downer for me. Whatever the future holds for Classic WoW, I will definitely enjoy playing, at least for a while. I'll definitely take the time to level a character to 60 and see if I can find time to gear that character for dungeons or maybe raids. It really depends on the time commitment, which is something I don't have reliably as much anymore. I can at least say that I will enjoy having the classes as they were in the beginning and seeing what changes may come, good or bad, to that old world. I would welcome additional vanilla content so long as it was in the spirit of that environment and not the sort of thing we see today on Live. I don't know if that's even possible anymore, though, so maybe it's best to just leave it be and enjoy it while it lasts. See ya!